Well, hi again, everybody. The high school football playoffs begin this week for the John Tyler Lions. It is a long-time tradition for Cujo to be involved in the postseason. I'm Bill Coates with Coach Ricklan Holmes. The Lions go in with a 7-3 overall record, having a 4-1 district mark, but coming off a disappointing loss in one of the wildest high school football games of the year this past Friday night, losing to Whitehouse 55-54, missed a two-point conversion with 59 seconds left in the ball game to fall by one. But again, what a ball game. But forget about all that now, right, Coach? I mean, because we'll talk about the Whitehouse game, but still, what your goals, everything you wanted to accomplish at the beginning of the year, that's all still out there.
Oh, most definitely. You know, we set 3 goals for ourselves at the beginning of the year, and like I told the kids Friday, you know, accomplishing 2 of the 3 goals isn't going to be bad. You know, the first goal was to win the city championship. Second goal is to win the district championship. But the third goal, which is the ultimate goal, and that's what you use the first 2 goals to build yourself up to, is a state championship. And that's what we start to embark on this Saturday at 2 o'clock.
And the playoffs are a long-time tradition for JT. I mean, this is nothing new. Some of these kids have been through, especially your seniors, have been through 2 deep playoff runs already in their career.
Oh, most definitely. You know, I told our kids, you know, we are a different program than most programs. You know, some programs try to make it to the playoffs. You know, we expect to be in the playoffs. We expect to go deep in the playoffs. And what we do during our run in the playoffs is going to determine whether we have that ultimate goal, which is always going out there and being John Tyler and playing John Tyler football.
It takes 6 wins to get to this point. Got to 5 last year and almost got to 6, that Denton-Geyer game. But what's different about the playoffs?
Different about the playoff is win or go home. You know, it's not like the first 10 games where you know, hey, after game 1, I got 9 games left. You know, after game 5, hey, I got 5 games left. You know, you win, you got another game left. You lose, you start off season.
Yeah, start packing the equipment up, right? Do you notice, though, is there any butterflies any different before the game? Is there anything about the urgency now that's different from, say, playing a good team like Nacogdoches or Whitehouse team of the year?
Well, considering the pressure that I put on these kids since day one, nothing's going to change. That we're still going to stay the same course that we've been staying for the first 10 games. But now, you know, we understand that, you know, it's lose or go home. You know, it means win or go home. So that's the deal that, you know, we're not going to change what we're doing. That's why I've always had the same mentality with them, you know, in the spring, going into the summer, going into the first game of the season. And them kids, they're very used to that mentality and taking one game at a time. And that's a way you really have to take it, especially during the playoffs.
Now, again, that game is Saturday afternoon against Mansfield Legacy at 2 o'clock at Citibank Stadium in Forney. A Legacy High School in Mansfield, and before we talk about them, why Forney, why Saturday at 2 o'clock? How'd that all work out?
Well, when you play your first playoff game, you want to try to set it up to where you can make your team to be the best position possible to be successful. And coming off a Friday game, going into the first Saturday game, either you would like to play on a Friday and keep it the same, but if you can't play on a Friday and you have to play on a Saturday, you'd like to try to play that game early so that it gives your coaching staff an opportunity after a win to come back and stay on pretty much the same Saturday schedule as normal. Now you go into the week's practice pretty much the same. Are
you going to stay on a Saturday schedule if you keep winning? You'll play, depending on what happens, may play on a Friday night?
Well, right now, you know, by us playing early on a Saturday, coming back and playing on a Friday wouldn't affect us as much as it would if we played late on a Saturday.
Right.
So either way.
Okay, good enough. We'll talk more about Legacy High School in Mansfield in a moment. Got to talk about that Whitehouse game. I mean, that turned out to be, you were talking, what are some of the stats that you were talking before we went on today about number of plays and yards and everything that went into that?
Well, you're talking about 230-something plays plus
between the
total
two teams.
Offense, defense, and special teams, and then 109 points between 2 teams. You know, you put those stats out there with the passing yards that we had and the rushing yards that we had. You know, you push yourself close to 1,000 yards of total offense. A wild game, a game that I expected. I knew that it was going to be close. I knew that it was going to be a hard-fought test for not only my team, but the Whitehouse team.
They and it came down to a 2-point conversion. You guys led, then trailed. you were kind of having to, like last year, I mean, when you fell behind, but you came back and won. You're fighting that uphill battle all the time, and your guys just kept doing that. They just wouldn't go away. Whitehouse would build up a little bit of a lead. Your guys never did go away.
Most definitely. My team is a fighting team, and we're never going to stop until the clock goes all the way to 0. But, you know, the course of that game set itself up for making that decision for that 2-point conversion. You know, after we missed the extra point, after we scored, I think it was the second quarter, we missed the extra point, and that's that 1 point that we have to try to get back. And so now you go the rest of the game, you're chasing a point. And as a coach, you never want to put yourself in a position to chase a point. So, you know, towards the end of the game, you know, if we had that point, the game is tied 55-55, and there's no question. You kick the ball, you kick it deep, and then you hold them, and the game is over. But when you put yourself in a position, your team puts yourself in a position to do that, you have to make that decision to go for the win, because there's no sense of trying to tie that ball game.
So I'll ask you again, because people want to know. You tie the ball game, though, and you go to overtime. You didn't feel like that was the right thing to do.
That's not, you know, in the position that we was in at that particular time, that's not the right thing to do. First of all, it's not the right thing to do for your team, because that sends a message to your team that you never want to send, that you don't feel like you can put them in a position to win a football game. And I've always believed in my team since day one, and I'm never going to stop believing in them. So when I call for that 2-point conversion, that just shows the belief that I have in my offense.
But, you know, there are folks out there that say, why not just tie the game, beat them in overtime?
Well, and you know what?
You know what? I mean, you
know
that's
most definitely. You know where I look at that?
All right.
I'm the John Tyler head football coach, and I have to make those decisions.
Yeah, and that's, you know what? That's one of those things that people say, you know, that looks like that'd be fun being a head football coach.
Yeah.
Somebody even say, how hard could it be? Well, those are the kind of decisions that head football coaches have to make, right?
And most definitely. You know, in 2012 of May, before that time came when I got hired,
right.
The job was open to anybody who wanted to apply. And just so happened I got the job, so I got that responsibility.
Did you second guess yourself at all after the game?
Oh, no, most definitely. No, okay. I never did. You know, anything I do with this football team, there is no regrets about anything, because I know what we do Monday through Wednesday. I know the mentality of my players. I know what I feel like, you know, they can do and they can't do, and I'm never going to put them in a position to be a failure.
Had you thought before you ever became a head coach, in your mind's eye, put yourself in that situation and say, okay, if I'm here, same situation you had Friday night, had you thought about that years earlier? What would I do?
Well, just talking to, you know, Coach King and Coach Allen Wilson, which are some guys that have been some great mentors for me throughout this first 2 years of being a head football coach. It's a lot of conversation that we talked about, and, you know, and the main thing that both of the coaches told me is that you'll never know until you get put in that situation, because first of all, it has to do with how you feel about your football team and what you feel like they can do and what they can't do. And that's been my motto since day one. I got to know my team, and the best way to know your team is to coach your team. And when you're coaching your team, you can make those decisions.
As it turned out, Whitehouse won the ball game. How big a blow is that for you?
It wasn't a very big blow. Considering my team fought all the way to the end, I think we've done everything that we need to do to win that football game. We just came up short. It's not a big blow because, first of all, it doesn't take us away from being the #1 seed in the Division I.
Had no effect on the playoffs.
You know, no effect on the playoff. The only thing it done was it kept us from accomplishing our second goal, which is winning the district championship. But the way that game came down, the way that my team played, we have no regrets. We have no hard hearts about it, and we're ready to play Mansfield Legacy.
Who played well for you?
You got to start.
Everybody?
Yeah, you know,
a lot of people.
You got to start with first of all, the breakout game by Rodney Bendy. You know, it's one of those guys that we've been waiting on to wake up at wide receiver position and make himself be known.
Last 2 weeks he's done that.
Most definitely. And then Jeremy Wilson, you know, the little guy's been fighting all year long, and he's becoming that dependable playmaker that we need to have on the offensive side of the ball. And then on defense, you got to give it up again for Braylon Jones, the super sophomore. The guy's playing from, you know, the beginning of the game to the end of the game, and he's becoming a very dominant force right now.
How about Reggie Gibson? What's his health status?
Reggie actually could have played against Whitehouse, but, you know, considering I guess the weight of that game, you know, if we win the district championship. If we lose, we still Division I, #1 seed. So you really want to try to make sure he's healthy for what we about to face now, which is the first round of the playoff, and you got to give everything that you got from the beginning to the end. So
we probably ought to get into these highlights because there's going to be about 10 minutes of them. There were a lot of offensive and defensive plays made against Whitehouse on Friday night. 55-54, Whitehouse won the game, but just a lot of stuff to look at. So let's get right to it. By the way, a packed house, and you're in the white uniforms.
Yeah, it's a great play by Ike. What we tell that corner to do is to set that edge, get off that block, and make sure that ball doesn't get outside. And he done a great job on that.
And here you are on offense.
This is offensive play where we do the read, and he just dumped it off right there to Jeremy Wilson. And like I said, Jeremy Wilson is not only becoming a great receiver, he's also a great running back.
Yes, he is. Played as a sophomore, so he's a junior.
He's a junior.
So is Gio, this big kid here playing quarterback.
Oh, yeah. You've seen two big quarterbacks that Friday night.
Yeah.
Good pass play right here to Nick Kane, and him just being tough and gutsy and being the playmaker he's been being all year long. That's one of the other guys we depend on the offensive side of the ball to make sure that we get the ball in the end zone and we keep the chains moving. Just buy a little time, keep your eyes downfield, and find your playmakers. And, you know, we always talk about yak yards. That's yards after catching. Nick Kane always does a great job doing that.
Yeah, he didn't much want to go to the ground there.
Oh, no, most definitely.
All right, so Whitehouse with the ball. And they got a pretty good quarterback, too. This kid Mahomes is not bad either.
Oh, yeah, he's not bad. But here's go Braylon Jones getting back there on him. And like I said, that sophomore there, he has been putting up some phenomenal stats as his first year as a varsity player.
And, oh, by the way, he's a big kid. What does Braylon weigh?
He's 6'3", about 275 now.
10th grader. So that means he'll get bigger and faster.
And this is him making another play. You know,
wow.
He's becoming that guy that's either being a terror on the rush or he's being a terror on the run game. So he's drawing a lot of double teams.
Nice young man. Had a chance to interview him earlier this year. Really, really cool kid. All right, here you go. Back on offense. Gio, zone read.
Oh, yeah. Just letting you know, hey, I can pull it and go too. And with the amount of yards that he covers, every time that he pulls it, we expect a first down out of him.
And you can't, we'll see it on the wide shot, but look at the crowd in the end zone there. It's not a seat to be had. Here we go, right up the middle. And oh, by the way, look at the corners down there. I'm also watching the people lined up every crack, every little crevice. You can watch the game, right?
Everybody wanted to see this. This is a great pass play to Rodney Bendy. Running a great route, using his hands. Gio finding him and using his speed to get to the end zone. He's a big target.
Yeah, he is 6'4", right?
Yes.
There you go. Who's that?
I believe that was Nick Kane that caught that ball.
Able to buy a little time.
Yep.
Now, in the Lufkin game, he would have thrown the ball a lot sooner than this, right? Way back in week one, probably.
But he's matured.
Right.
He's
but he was panicked,
game
right?
one.
Maybe done something, but now he's an old veteran, right?
Oh, most definitely. That is most definitely what Gio is becoming. Great decision right here to throw that ball right there to Jeremy Wilson. And he keeps his feet in bounds as he catches the ball, and that's a great touchdown play.
And
just like right here, you know, beginning of the season, first 4 games of the season, Gio probably would have tucked this.
And he's going left to right. As you look at going against his body, that's a tough throw, too.
Tough throw. But his mechanics are awesome. I mean, you know, he's a legit quarterback. You know, we just tell him, you know, you got to be that quarterback all the time.
How about that play for
great jump ball to Rodney Bendy? Yeah, most definitely. You know, 6'4" target, just throw it up and let him use his athletic ability and size to go get it.
What do you call that, high point in the ball?
That is. And this throw right here is the throw where you just trust your receivers. And Pat Mahomes does that all the time with his receivers. You know, they have that chemistry. And our guys are starting to have that same chemistry.
They left the middle open. Gio burned them.
Yep, that's just him reading it and seeing what the defense is giving him, and he took advantage of it.
Did he get in on that play or just come up short?
I think he came up short on that one. I think they caught him down probably at 1 yard line, 1 inch. Yeah, because this next play we had to go and put it in, and this is Dyron McDuff, which has done a great job, you know, taking over the role of the absent Reggie Gibson.
So you get both of those guys back this week.
Oh, yeah.
That's double trouble right there. All right, here we
It
go
is.
again. Middle's wide open.
Yep, to Dontavian Gross.
Dundon's one of the sophomores who is. He and
Making a
Braylon
name
Jones
for
both.
themselves, most definitely. 2 sophomores that are making a name for themselves and letting people know, you know, hey, there is no mistake why I'm on varsity right now.
I tell you what's really amazing. Game like that, here's a good.
Good pass play right here to Rodney Bendy, showing his size and ability to catch the ball. And, you know, when you have a big target like that, you know, there's no sense of trying to avoid him.
I mean, that's almost like Bendy plays basketball, so that's like a rebound in a basketball game.
It's like a
basically.
rebound. That's
Yeah.
right.
Just go up and get it.
Get us down to the, I think, 3 yard line, and now we get the ball in Gio's hand and tell him to punch it on in.
I think what's really amazing about both these teams, though, the physical condition you have to be in to play.
You got to
like
be.
That.
You got to be to play that many plays, to go against the offenses that move the ball like both sides do.
Yeah.
You got to be in top physical shape. And, you know, they're a good football team, and we knew that. You know, and this game right here came down to whatever team made the most plays at the end of the game was the team who was going to win.
Punt return here. Who's your punt? Is this Kane, the punt return?
No, this is Dontavian Gross
Okay,
back there catching the punt.
Dontavian Gross.
Pretty good blocking on the punt return team, which is original defense. Not a bad return. Good job by Gio finding the hole.
And breaking tackles.
Making some things happen with his feet. Like I say, he's a big guy and he covers a lot of ground. So when he pulls it, we call it a design play for him. You know, we're expecting a first down out of him or a touchdown. Good job getting that free play because you caught the defense offsides.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good pass play right there to Dontavian.
So they were offsides on this play,
Yeah.
right?
We call it a free play.
How about that thread in the needle over the linebacker and right
Great
into the
throw. Great
Yeah.
throw.
Wow.
Touchdown play right there to Nick. Find him in the back of the end zone. Touchdown.
Did that tie the ball game up, or got you within one at one
I
point?
think
didn't
that
it?
got us. No, this is before it got us within.
And then
one.
they scored again,
Yeah,
right?
they scored again after we scored this
Right.
time.
Now that's the one that tied, that put you within one, right at
Yes,
the end of the ball
I
game,
believe
right?
this is the one. Design, like I said, this is a design run play for Gio. You know, like I say, either we gonna get the
Yeah.
first down or we gonna get
Yeah.
the touchdown. And that play right there put us 54-55, and then we came with the 2-point conversion and came up short.
But what a game. Again, you talk about the conditioning, though. It has to be to be able to play a game like that.
Yeah.
That's what you've been working for all year long.
Oh, most definitely. That's where the 1640s come into play.
Right.
You know, we start out the year running 1640s, and the way Coach Wilson done it, he done it week by week, and he took off one for each week. Well, the way I do it is I go by the wins.
Okay.
So you know, like right now, you know, we got 7 wins, so we still at 9 sprints right now. You know, even going into the state game, we still gonna have 3 sprints left because we lost 3 games.
Okay, all right. And at the end of practice, I go out on Monday nights during the season and watch you guys. I mean, after all that, and you have long practice, and then And then the running starts.
Yep. You still got to do your conditioning. We still got to stay in tip-top physical shape, not just physically but mentally. You know, at the end of practice, when you're dog-tired and you feel like you can't do anymore, that's when you got to dig within inside yourself and find just a little bit more to help yourself get better.
You don't expect any hangover from Whitehouse this week?
No. My kids are going to be fine. They understand that the game of football is played to win and lose. And like I told them Friday and I told them again Saturday, we done everything that we need to do to win that football game. We just came up short.
Yeah, okay, well you can do that. And you can live with it. I mean, every once in a while, you're going to, the other teams play pretty good
they
too.
practice to win too.
Yeah.
Nobody goes out there to lose, I promise you. And I promise you Whitehouse didn't come out there to lose to John Tyler.
All right, so tell me a little bit about, now this Legacy school is 8-2 coming in. Don't know a whole lot about them yet, but from a growing area and pretty good football team.
Yeah, most definitely. They're a program that's been they've made a couple of appearances in the playoff. Not anything that's been very deep in the playoff. They're a predominantly running team. Defense plays sound. I know that they have a pretty good, highly recruited corner that plays. And on the offensive side of the ball, they depend a lot on their quarterback and their big running back.
Really? So they're going to run the ball a lot?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. When you got almost 3,000 yards rushing and less than 1,000 yards passing, that's a running team.
All right. When you were in the playoffs with John Tyler, how did you prep any different? Was there anything different about playing now as opposed to playing in the regular season?
The mindset of the football team pretty much stayed the same. We just understood, these games are a little bit more important than the first 10 games that we played. So, I bring that same mentality to our team now that I had when we were playing. And we were playing in 94 through 98. So, nothing's really changed. Our game plans are, we still going to practice the same. We still going to make sure that, we do what we need to do. We learn what we need to learn, and we execute everything that we need to do.
Tell them the story again about Cujo. Were you in school when the Cujo thing, because that all started during Allen's tenure there, right?
Well, actually, Cujo started in the 70s. It was a game between John Tyler and I believe it was either a Midland team or Odessa team. Probably was Odessa.
Odessa Permian. Out at Rose Stadium.
And it was a tight game, and excuse me, it was a tight game, and Mojo has always been Odessa Permian. So their crowd started yelling Mojo, and then don't know who started it, but somebody earlier that year had started talking about how ferocious the defense was. And, by being ferocious and watching the movie Cujo with the dog.
Stephen King
movie, somebody in the stands started yelling Cujo. So that's where it all originated from, giving the aggressive mentality to a football team. But then when Coach Wilson came, he kind of grabbed that and he escalated to a whole nother deal, and that's where the never quit and the never die came into play.
And that has been, what is that Cujo, what has that meant to John Tyler? That's given you an identity, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's basically our alter ego right now.
Yeah.
We've been the Lions from week 1 to week 10, but now that whole persona has changed to the Cujo team, which is, I don't let my kids even talk about Cujo until this time now. So now it lets them know that things are a lot more important than they were the first 10 games.
Now, are you going to wear the Cujo jersey?
We will be wearing the Cujo jersey this week. Most definitely. That like I say, that is our new alter ego. That's going to be our alter ego for the next 6 weeks.
Now you got two different. You're going to have the white on white jerseys and the blue. Are you the home team this week?
We are the home team.
You're the home team. So blue on blue, right?
Yeah, we will be wearing.
Drives the play-by-play guy crazy.
Yeah, but I helped you out this year. I put the numbers on the side.
Oh, did you? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's you've done that during the season too, haven't you? All right. Okay.
So the numbers will still be on the side.
Numbers will be on the side of the helmet. That's good. We had a lot of fun with that last year. Look back on last year. I know you don't go, but that was a ton of fun. It was the 5 weeks, great games. The Geyer game was a classic. There were several games during that run that were just classic football games.
Well, we had 10 games this first part of the season. That's been pretty fun too. So you just have to take what you done build on. You learn from your first 10 games, and that's what it's about. That's what the preseason's for, to get you ready for district. Now you run through district, and district is to get you ready for the playoffs. So I feel like we've done everything we need to do up to this point, and now we just have to continue to play football and make more plays than the teams that we're playing.
What was the most memorable playoff game at John Tyler you were ever in?
Most memorable one?
Yeah. Does any one of them jump out at you? That
it has to be as a player, the Plano East game. You know, that game actually won us an award as an ESPY. But as a coach, my most memorable game has to be last year against Guyer.
Even though that was a loss?
Even though it was a loss, that has to be my most memorable game. First of all, it was my first year as a head football coach.
Right.
And the maturity that my team showed that day, bringing themselves back in the game, and me being able to understand my role as a head football coach and making the decisions that I made during that course, that's one of the games that I'm going to remember for a long time.
30 years from now, will these guys remember a great regular season game, or will they remember a playoff game? Which ones will they remember, or both, maybe? They'll
probably remember both, especially with that Whitehouse game being the last game of the season for the importance of winning another district championship. But playoffs, you'll never forget the playoffs because it's a one-shot journey.
Yeah. Does it hurt more to lose or feel? Which is better? Does it feel better to win, or does it hurt more to lose at this point? What do you?
I think it hurts more to lose because you don't have another week.
Yeah.
Because during the regular season, if you lost a game, you're gonna practice that next week to get better so that you don't feel that again. But during the playoffs, you got to wait a whole nother year.
So you want to? I mean, it's more. You just don't want to feel that way.
No, you don't want to feel that way. Period. I don't think nobody wants to lose a football game.
Right.
But when you're at the magnitude that we're at right now in the playoffs, where if you don't win, you go home.
Right.
It brings the stakes up a little bit higher.
All right. So all hands on deck this week, injury-wise, you think?
Oh yeah, we're gonna be at full strength this week and getting ready to head to Forney and play a good football team against Mansfield Legacy.
All right, give me once again an overview of kind of what Mansfield Legacy does. What do you look for?
Like I said, predominantly running team. They got a really good quarterback and really good tailback, and they have the bulk of the rushing yards. Big offensive line, defensive play. They hadn't been very consistent in stopping anybody right now, but they have a really good corner out there that's been interchanging with playing corner and playing safety. Do
coaches lose sleep during playoff weeks? Are you going to sleep good this week?
I'm going to sleep about the same as I have been for the first 10 games. What I've learned as a head coach and listening to other coaches and being around some great coaches is that, you got to learn how to separate football from your life. To me, football is my life, but when you are not associated with the game itself or the practice itself, you got to learn how to let things go. And I think I've been doing a pretty good job of that so far. Once I leave the complex, once I leave the field, I'm at home and I focus on being at home. But when I leave home, I'm all about business.
30 seconds left or so. How much fun is it? Just pure fun to be a part of this.
Oh, most definitely. And it makes it even more fun when you're having the success that we've been able to have for the past several years and the tradition that we bring to the table, just being John Tyler Lions.
All right. Good luck. The Lions play Legacy High School from Mansfield. And again, it's not a Friday night game this week. It is a 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. at Citibank Stadium in Forney coming up on Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. So that should be a lot of fun as the Lions open playoff action with the Cujo jerseys playing Legacy High School from Mansfield, 2 o'clock Saturday in Forney. And Coach Holmes and I'll be back at the same time next week to talk about it and look ahead to next week in the playoffs on Coach's Corner. Thanks for joining us.